Welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour, where we serve spirits.
Every hour.
No, actually, we're here on Sundays, and we are so excited to talk to you today. And we love being here. The way it works is that you got to hear the Master Randy Luna earlier and his beautiful music. Did you know that he channels that on the spot?
He does.
It's true. He just sits down and plays. And when you guys aren't around, he plays some pretty funny stuff, too.
He could play two different songs in two different keys at the same time.
Who can do that? Randy.
The Master Randy Luna can.
So welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour, and welcome to a channeling with Adirondda at the end, and another little interlude of Randy Luna's music, and a special message from Marilyn.
Absolutely. And you know, I've been thinking about this for a long time. Have you ever thought about how many people it took for you to be right here in this moment, at this time, right here, right now?
You know, I try to think, but nothing happens.
Dun, dun. You know, a few weeks ago, I wrote and recorded a weekly message about this necklace. Let me just show it to you here if I can hold it. If you haven't seen the weekly message, I'll share the story with you. I mean, it's a beautiful necklace. You can see it right here. It was given to me by someone, I think she was living in Australia. Unfortunately, I can't remember her name, but she impressed me so much. She was actually in the International Toastmasters competition, and she was attending our workshop, which I think was Everything is Possible. And she gave this to me at our clerk shop, and let's see if I can remember. She was from South Africa originally, and she gave this necklace to me and said that it was a prayer bead necklace. And what that means is that it was created in her whole village, and each resident of her village put their prayers into this necklace, and then when you wear the necklace or handle it in any way, the prayers are magnified and go out there to the universe. I mean, how cool is that? When you stop and think that each person in her village had passed this necklace through their hands, through their fingers, put their prayer into them, and then each time it was worn or handled, you know, when you put it on, their prayers went out. I mean, what wonderful energy. I remember when she gave it to me and told me that story, I literally wept. I had big tears coming out of my eyes. I mean, the energy of her village was so strong in the necklace. And now every time I wear it, I think of her and I think of the energy and I think how I can actually feel that energy and visualize her village putting their prayers into the beads of this necklace. I see her whole community just passing it around, infusing their energy into this necklace. It caused me to think about communities and how our community or our village is different than what it was when I was a kid. I mean, back in the olden days, when I was a child, we had communities that really helped each other. I remember our church, the Christian church in Parsons, Kansas, was the hub of the community. I mean, actually all churches in Parsons, Kansas anyway, were a hub of the community. I mean, we had junior choirs, we had softball teams for the girls and baseball teams for the boys and youth groups and talent shows and community dinners. And then we had organizations that were in the town, the Optimist Club, the Kiwanis, the Rotary Club, the Garden Club, the Bridge Club, in addition to our little neighborhood groups. Now, our parents would get together in our neighborhood every week for some reason. They would have cookouts. They would go on camping trips together. They would play cards on Friday nights and so much more. I mean, and you know, if someone got sick in our neighborhood or anywhere in town, really, there was always someone there to help. I can remember going around the neighborhood with my mom and a casserole or cakes or flowers from our garden or something whenever someone was sick, or maybe they broke their arm or something, or maybe they had a baby, or they lost a loved one. I don't think, and I may be surprised, but I don't think people really do that any longer. I mean, the church then was a hub of the community. And we had a lot of churches in a tiny town called Parsons, Kansas. Now we have these huge mega churches, so it's really easy to be invisible in a mega church. And our neighborhoods, when was the last time you had a block party with everybody in your neighborhood? Or even spoke to your neighbors, besides waving at them when you get in your car? I mean, do you know their names? Do you know their kids' names? I know I am totally guilty of that. I know when I think of my neighbors next door, I can never remember which one's Rain and which one's Breeze. They're two twins. Which one's Rain and which one's Breeze? Blonde hair, dark hair. I can never remember. And it's really because I don't make the effort. I know with Adironda, when people complain about being lonely, Adironda suggests that they go to a metaphysical bookstore or a New Thought church and search for a meditation group or a Reiki sharing group or something like that, maybe a book study of some kind. Or even if they don't find one, to start one themselves and invite a few friends over. And then, of course, Adironda continues to say, if they don't want to lead the meditation themselves, then, of course, Adironda suggests that they use our double digit and have a meditation group around that, or one of our guided meditations with Randy and I. Or then, of course, they continue. I mean, Adironda does this quite well. They say, oh, you could have a potluck on Sunday nights for spiritual happy hour. It always cracks me up when Adironda is a better marketer than I am, right? I mean, but that's the community. And what I find with a lot of people that complain about being lonely is they would rather complain than get out and do something about it. I mean, the question is it important to be a part of a community in our busy lives? I mean, our lives have changed, especially with COVID, but our lives have changed a great deal. I mean, we have the internet and TV, and you can get anything on your television. You don't even have to go out and socialize at movies any longer. I mean, you can function without ever being in contact with most other people. You don't even have to go to the grocery store. You can order your groceries online. So is a community really important? Yes. I am going to show you scientific proof of the benefits of community or the benefits of a village. And then I'm going to give you 8 ways that you can have your own village. Now, Jay Van Vavel, I know it's an interesting name, but Jay Van Vavel, he's a psychology professor for New York University. He actually wrote the book, The Power of Us, and he states that groups of people actually have a greater psychological safety, and they tend to perform better because they have created a safe place for all. Groups of people. The Grant Study is one of the world's deepest pieces of research funded by, believe it or not, department store owner W.T. Grant. He had a whole, in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, he had a whole group of discount stores, W.T. Grant did. Well, he actually began to track Harvard graduates in the 1930s, and for 7 decades, his research has continued now, and the study's director now, George Valent, he stated clearly that social connections increase your health, lower your stress level, and quite frankly, help you live longer. Can you believe it? He found that there was a direct relationship, and he studied thousands of people for over 70 years. He found that there was a direct relationship between your personal success and even your professional success in those people who are involved with some type of group or community or project that uses a group mentality to actually accomplish something. A recent study in Brigham Young University evaluated a range of factors from eating to exercise to social behaviors. And once again, it blows my mind. It's the sense of community and people with a strong relationship that actually tops the list of ways that one sees more productivity in people. So it stands to reason that people that do things in groups or in a community are more productive people. Social connection is one of the most predictive areas of longevity that any other avenue that they found in the things that they studied. So, to have a community actually helps you live longer and be healthier, right? But wait, there's more. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar studied the social grouping of primates and noticed a correlation between the primates' brain size and the social group that they formed. Can you believe that? He found that the bigger the brain, and I don't really want to know how he measured it, but I'm sure they have some way to do that without hurting the primate. He found that the bigger the brain, the more the primate was actually involved in group functions and had higher functions like better sensory perception or conscious thought, or even a better understanding of language, human language. The larger the social group, the larger the brain, and the more evolved that they were. Cool, right? During a recent interview with Scientific American, Dunbar said healthier people, more successful people, have about 150 relationships. 150? That's a lot. But he broke it down. He said they have one or two special friends. That's our present company here. Then they have 5 or so intimate friends. They have 15 best friends, 50 good friends, and then he goes on to have 50 just friends, and then about 500 acquaintances. Now, of course, my question is, okay, so how do you know that? Right? How do they test that? Well, they do. The layers show up and are actually confirmed in cell phone records, address books, social media. How many friends do you have on Facebook that you actually know? Probably less than 150. It really got me to thinking about who are my 1 to 2 special friends? Who are my 5 intimate friends? Who are my 15 besties? And so on. And then I thought, but what am I contributing to those relationships or to those communities? In the Brigham Young, I'll talk, okay? In the Brigham Young study, say that 10 times. In the Brigham Young study, they said that there are 2 basic aspects to increased health and longevity. And if you have these 2 things, you will be able to live longer and be healthier while you live longer. One is the strength of your 1 to 15 people. Right. Those people that you can call and say, I have to go to the doctor. Will you take me? I have to go to the emergency room. Can I take you? Those people that are your inner circle. Those people that matter the most. And 2, the strength of your tertiary relationships. The mail person, the barista, the wait staff at your favorite restaurant. And it really got me thinking about, I know the name of my mail carrier until he has a substitute. And I noticed when he retired, but at a restaurant, I mean, the person that I know that speaks to the restaurant people the best is Carl Phenologist Fink. And I have been going to the same restaurant for a lot longer than I have known Carl. Downing Street Poorhouse in Hollister, Missouri, one of our favorites. And they recognize him. They talk to him. They communicate with him. They don't recognize me. So what that says about me is I don't talk to them. I don't communicate with them. Do you? I mean, do you know the name of the person who walks their dog in front of your house? Oh, and another benefit to forming a community and connecting with your tertiary relationships is when you do something physical in a group, like dancing or exercising, hiking, walking, riding bikes, it nearly doubles the endorphins that you receive as opposed to doing activities by yourself. And we all want more endorphins. So when you do activities or a project in a group that requires a physical activity, believe it or not, they've tested this, your pain level actually goes down. If you're kind of a depressed person, your depression level goes down and your joy factor increases. Now, when you do non-physical activities, like laughing, playing games, going to the movies, storytelling, even singing, those activities actually increase your endorphins as well. Plus, those activities release a chemical in your brain that helps make you smarter and have more clarity in your life because you are in a group. So now you know why it is important to have a village or a community, but how do you get one? Well, in ACIM, A Course in Miracles, it says that we are limitless. Our Father gives us all the power. Our Father gives all the power unto us. Why is it that somewhere along the line we simply negated that belief? Yes, it is possible to have a village. It is possible to build a community and be a part of a community. How? Well, first, you have to try to get to know people and communicate with them. I have to admit, I'm not a great conversationalist. I learned that from Joy. I heard Joy talking about it, and she, in a conversation, she will ask questions about the person she's talking with. Not yes or no questions, but an open-ended question to get them talking about themselves. I actually had to practice that trait. Next, frankly, get out of the house. Join a group, a class, whatever. At the First Baptist Church in Branson has an exercise class. I think it's for people over 50, and then they've got another class for people under 50. I mean, they're great. You don't have to be a Baptist to go there, and it's only $50 a year. I mean, we laugh, we talk, we move our bodies, and we get more endorphins, right? I mean, reach out to your 1 to 5 friends and plan to do something with them. Go to the theater. A friend of mine, Tracy, every year she sends out her list of all of the shows that she's attending at the Branson Regional Arts Council Community Theater and says, if you want to go, go. And so we do. That makes us smarter, right? Because we're doing it in a group and watching a live theater show. Or take a hike together. Take a ballroom dance class. Anything is better than doing nothing. I hear from people in the metaphysical world that they don't really like to associate with people that are not metaphysical because they don't know how to talk to them. Well, honestly, that's a cop-out. Everyone has to wake up. And by your presence, you can actually help wake people up. Just ask for a translator to be installed in your brain so that you can always have the right words to say to explain your beliefs, or to know that you don't really have to explain your beliefs. You don't have to justify them. It's possible, right? Everything is possible. And intention is everything. After all, it's all God, isn't it? How do you build a community or join a community? Well, you have to work at it. A community normally doesn't mystically happen. So here are some steps that you could take. One, I've already said it. Get out of the house. If that isn't possible, call people on the phone. Invite them over to your house. Do something. Number 2, plan something with your friends. Number 3, volunteer. Go to the hospital and volunteer, Habitat for Humanity, the Humane Society, the Soup Kitchen, the hospital gift shop, the library, Child Advocacy Council. Lots of places really need volunteers, and that's a community. Next, be kind and get the names of people you meet, like your mail delivery person, your barista, the clerk at the grocery store. I'm actually going to go to the restaurant and I'm going to say, my name is Marilyn. What's your name? And I'm going to remember her name and talk to her every time I go there. Number 5, help the planet. Search out a proactive group that teaches about recycling, or if there isn't one, start one. You can do the research. Join any club or organization. That's number 6. Join a Zumba group, a hiking group, bunco, canasta. It doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is that you're doing it in a group or a community. Create a project that a group of people can do. I mean, they can organize the library at your church if you have one, or clean out a group of offices, or go to a painting class and practice painting together. The key is, number 8, is when you go someplace, talk to people. When you go to an event, talk to them. Do you? I'm learning to. Before long, who knows? You will be putting together a beaded necklace with all your prayers in it, with your community's prayers in it, and people will be telling stories about you. I mean, when you have connections with other people, friends, it affects more than our health, but it does affect our health. It affects more than our brain waves, but it does make us smarter. And it lowers our stress level, which truly will help us live longer. Let's see how the master Randy Luna's music can help with that. And then, of course, I'm sure Adironda will have a little something to say about the subject of a village. Ah, so it is good day to you, huh? It is a good day to you, and good day to you, and good day to you, and good day to each of you, huh? We have a squeaky chair today, huh? Can you hear that on that squeaky chair? Oh, we hear it. But virtual reality, we think we do not want to have a squeaky chair, huh? So that is our community, to have a squeaky chair. As you understand that your community is very important. And yes, as our vessel Marilyn talked about, the energy that goes into people asking, they're so lonely, and we give them many suggestions as to what they could do. And then the next time they come to us, they say they are still lonely. And then we say, well, did you do this? Well, no. Well, did you do that? Well, I went to the church or I went to the group. And did you speak to anyone? Well, no, it was too awkward. Well, maybe you need to practice speaking to people in front of the mirror if that is so difficult for you. Understand that we are in a time that you get to learn to ask for help. You get to learn that it is not a sign of weakness any longer to ask for assistance. In the old days, before 2012, you might have thought that. However, now, it is going to be very important in the coming times for you to be a part of a community, to be a part of the strength of numbers, because it does indeed make you healthier. It does indeed raise your endorphin level, if that is what you want to have raised. But more than anything, it opens your heart. For you see, when you have a community of people that you know care about you, and you care about them, your heart opens. That is how you get to be a longer living person. Your heart energy is so important. So we ask you, how can you build a community? You get the opportunity to make an effort. Invite people to do something, even if you do not know them very well. You know, we'll tell a story about our friend Tracy because she provides lots of good stories. We've told you stories before about her. Our friend Tracy loves yard sales, or something. Sometimes they're called garage sales, or sometimes they're called tag sales, whatever. Here they're called a yard sale. And she goes to a yard sale, and she goes to several. And then at one of them, she meets somebody. And they walk around, and then they go to another yard sale and decide to go to another. So they go to 2 or 3 yard sales in a row in the same day. And then they realized that they were hungry, so then they went out to dinner or lunch or whatever. And they're still, a year and a half later, great friends. That is a part of community. That is a part of your 1 to 15 people. And how did that happen? One of them, like our friend Tracy, spoke to them. Spoke to the other person at the yard sale. That is truly all it takes, is to speak to people that you encounter. Your checker at the grocery store probably has a badge on that has their name on it. Say hello to them and thank them for their service, Thomas, and use their name. People love to hear their name. And it also shows that you care about them. You see, that is really all people want, is to know that the world cares about them. They are seeking love like everyone else. And that is what is happening. So when you have your community, we want you to, when you go out somewhere, we want you to think of our vessel Marilyn's friend Tracy and start talking to someone. You know, for those of you that are thinking that they want to have a sweetheart, talk to the people in the grocery store. You never know what will happen. We know of many people who spoke to someone while they were squeezing the vegetables and then saw them again and then saw them again in the store again. And then they went and had a cup of tea. And it began a new relationship. It doesn't have to be male or female. We don't care. It is a they. So understand that you get the opportunity to make an effort to build a friendship just like everyone else does. The vessel Marilyn had a guest a few weeks ago. She called and said, "You're on my brain." So the vessel Marilyn invited her to come over, spend the night. And they hadn't seen each other in maybe 5 years. And they picked up right where they left off and realized that they do care about that friendship. That is a community. That is the beginning. So reach out. Communicate with people. Acknowledge them as they are in your life and be ready to help and support as they are. And if you feel that you are too busy to help and support someone, and help them in even tiny ways, then you might ask yourself why. And if that contributes to your own state of loneliness. For loneliness is a choice, just like everything else. Community, a village, is a choice, just like everything else. And it is a choice to put your prayers in a bead and have that bead carry the energy, just like everything else. So, dearest, the only person who is going to make a difference in your life is you. And we know you are making that difference. That is why we love you so much. That is why we see you, we know you, we honor you, we feel you. We feel you getting nervous about thinking about talking to strangers. And that's all right. Step through your nervousness, and the world will be a better place for it. Namaste. Namaste.